Hey friends, and happy Monday, May the 4th. I hope you're having a great start to your week. I hope that you have been able to go by school and pick up your surfing into summer countdown. And I hope that this will help you kind of be motivated to have a lot of energy to finish out the school year well. We only have 2 weeks left. It is going by so fast. And I miss you so much. So I'm excited that we're going to finish out strong, but then if you're available and if you're allowed to, you're going to get to come and hang out on that very last day of school, and we'll get to get our stuff and enjoy seeing each other as we wrap up our great year. All right, like I said, today is surfing into summer day 1. So we're going to have the S for surfing today. So today you have sunglasses and you have a snack of popcorn. I want you to get it at some point today. Put it on, head outside, enjoy the warm weather, eat a snack outside, and let's get started. All right, also, let's go ahead and get ready for our packet. Today's language arts reading part is this page starts. So make sure you have this paper in front of you and a pencil ready to go. All right, and then we'll get started. All right, so today we're talking about elements of a fable. Well, a fable is one of the type of stories that we can read. And so a fable is a story, remember, that is very short. It usually has animals as its main characters, and it always teaches us a lesson or a moral or a message. Remember, we can talk about those 3 words, and they kind of mean the same thing. So if they ask you what is the lesson that you learned in the story, what is the moral of the story, or what is even the theme of the story, they're asking you, like, what were we trying to get out of this? What was the author trying to teach us through this story? So today I'm going to read to you a fable, and we're going to fill out this graphic organizer as we walk through it, okay? So a lot of this today we're going to do together until we get to the very bottom, which is an illustration, which I'm going to let you be creative and do that on your own. All right, so you have a pencil ready. The title of our fable today is The Tortoise and the Hare. The Tortoise and the Hare. So right where you see title, you're going to write the as your first word. The next word is tortoise. What is a tortoise? Right, it's a land turtle, a turtle who lives on the land. So that is spelled T-O-R-T-O-I-S-E. Different sound. Tortoise. I'll spell it again one more time. T-O-R-T-O-I-S-E. Tortoise. And the will be the next words. The tortoise and the. And then our last word is the hare. What's a hare? Another word for a rabbit. Good. So H-A-R-E, not H-A-R, H-A-I-R, sorry, like hare. It's spelled H-A-R-E. Another word for a rabbit. Okay, so that should be in the title box. You should be finished with that. Okay, next. We already know the characters of the story. This is a very familiar story. It's one of the reasons why I picked it. So the characters are the tortoise and the hare. Now, you might have seen this as a cartoon, and you might have seen this in a couple of different ways where they might have added characters. But in the true Aesop's fables, it's the tortoise and the hare. And so you can go ahead and just write characters are tortoise and hare. So just rewrite those words right below. Those are our characters for our story today. All right, now for setting, problem, solution, and moral, we're going to wait until we've read the story to come back and fill those in. I know some of you probably already feel comfortable that you know some of these answers, but let's listen to the story and then we're going to come back together and figure out what we should put for each of those boxes, okay? So listen as I read. The Tortoise and the Hare. One day, Hare was bragging about how fast he could run. He bragged and even laughed at the Tortoise, who was slow. The Tortoise stretched out his long neck and challenged Hare to a race, which of course made Hare laugh. My, what a joke, thought the Hare. A race? Indeed, a race? Oh, what fun, my, a race. Of course, Mr. Tortoise, we shall race, said the Hare. The forest animals met and mapped out the course. The race begun, and the Hare, being such a swift runner, soon left the Tortoise far behind. About halfway through the course, it occurred to the Hare that he had plenty of time to beat the slow-trotting Tortoise. Oh my, thought the Hare, I have plenty of time to play in the meadow here. And so he did. And after the Hare finished playing, he decided he had a time to take a little nap. I have plenty of time to beat that Tortoise, he thought, and he cuddled up against a tree and dozed to sleep. The Tortoise, in the meantime, continued to plod on, albeit ever so slowly. He never stopped, but he took one good step, one right after the other. Then the Hare woke up from his nap. Time to get going, he thought, and he went off faster than he had ever run before. He dashed so quickly as anyone ever could to the finish line, where he met the Tortoise, who was already waiting patiently at his arrival. All right, and that's the end of the story. So let's go back and find out what was the setting of the story. I'm sure some of you heard where the story was taking place. Anybody remember? I'm going to go back. Remember, we always want to go back and we want to verify where we found it in our text. So I'm going to go back and look through, and the forest is where it happened. So in the box where it says setting, we're going to write the word forest. All right, just sound that out as best you can. Forest. All right, so now we're at problem and solution. Remember, a problem is something that goes wrong or something that needs to be fixed, and the solution is how did it get fixed. Now this one, we could come at this problem and solution at a couple of different ways, but I'm going to come from a way that I want you to kind of understand what the story is trying to really teach us as well, as far as what is the problem and the solution of this story would be. So we see that the Hare is always doing what? The very first sentence, I'll read it again. One day the Hare was bragging again about how fast he could run. He bragged and he bragged and he laughed at others. And so the problem of the story is a couple of things, but really is that the Tortoise is not very nice. The Hare is not very nice. He brags all the time. He's not a good friend. So let's use that today as the problem in our story. So the problem of our story is the Tortoise, I keep saying the Tortoise, the Hare always is bragging. Thinks he's the best at everything. Thinks because he's fast that he's the best. So the problem is the Hare is bragging. Go ahead and write that in the problem box. I'm eating a mint because I have a little bit of a sore throat, so excuse the noise. All right, so let's think of what could be the solution. How could we solve Hare, to stop bragging. This time the solution was to have a race. Let's really see who's the fastest. Not just talk about it, let's actually see who is the fastest. So the problem was Hare was bragging. The solution was to have a race. Go ahead and write that in the solution box. All right, so now we're at the moral or the lesson, the message. What do they want us to learn from this story? I'm sure you've heard I know from me and from others, that doing something fast isn't always the best, right? Slow and steady wins the race, we hear too. So it's not about how fast we do something, but it's about how we do not give up. Now, could the tortoise have given up as soon as the hare flashed past him? He could have, but he chose not to give up. So what we learn from this story is, if something is hard for you, was this race going to be hard for Tortoise? For sure it was. Even though it was hard for him, he did not give up. He did not give up. So our moral or our lesson that we're learning from this today is that we should not give up. Don't give up on things that are hard. Don't give up doing something just really fast just to get it over with. Do your best and don't give up. All right, last box is for illustration. You can choose to illustrate that any way you'd like to. As long as you're drawing a picture about the fable that we've read today, I'll be happy with that. So you can choose. I would like to see it in color as well. All right. Great job. All right, we're going to pause there for a minute and get ready for math today. All right, remember, if you need to stop me at any time so you can go back and finish your work, you're more than welcome to hit pause so you can come back whenever you're ready for math. All right, we are going to be working on some number sense. So this is talking about how well do we understand a number. As second graders, we're supposed to be fluently working with numbers all the way through 1,000 very well. So we should understand the hundreds, the tens, the ones. We should understand greater than. We should understand less than. We should be able to write it in expanded form. Lots of different things. So we're going to be going through this paper, doing a lot of this together. And then you'll have some to do on your own. But this is going to be just a good opener for you to be able to see this is what we're talking about when we say, I have good number sense. I can work with numbers and understand them. Okay, so your paper should look like this. Okay, go ahead and have a pencil ready to go. All right, our first blank says, write how many hundreds, tens, and ones are in the number 139. So you're just going to be writing how many hundreds, tens, and ones. So how many hundreds are there in the number 139? I hear somebody saying it. Good. 1. So we're going to put a 1 in the hundreds blank. How many tens are there? 3. Good. And how many ones? 9. Good. Now they're asking us to write it in expanded form right below that. So when we see expanded form, we're asking us to stretch the number out to show its value, each piece. So the first blank that we should have, we should be talking about the number 100. So in that first blank, you're going to write the number 100. Okay, and the next blank, we're talking about the tens. So how many tens do we have? 3, so that means that number is 30. Good, so we're going to write 30 in that next blank. And one more time, we're just right here. So we've written 100, we've written 30, and then we'll write our ones. And how many are in the ones? 9. Good. So when we put it all back together, we should have our number we started with, which would be 139. We're making sure we understand. Okay, the next group you're going to be able to do on your own. They're just asking you for 1 more, 1 less, 10 more, 10 less. So you're just adding or subtracting. The next one asks you to write it again is hundreds, tens, and ones. And you can do that. We've already done that at the top. The next group, I'm over now right here. We're going to talk about greater than, less than, or equal to. Okay, so when we look at numbers, remember the big wide mouth goes to the biggest number. Good. So we're always looking for big wide mouth, biggest number. So if I have 140 and 139, which one is the biggest number? 140. Good. So my big wide mouth is going to be facing this way to chomp up that 140. We want to eat up the biggest one. Okay, you're going to do the same for the rest of those. Okay, and then right below that, it asks you to write numbers in expanded form. Okay, we just did an expanded form together. So you can go back and look at the example I just did with you to do that for all of those. All right, and then the last part, we see a little cat with a trash can. Okay, and then we see some base 10 blocks. Okay, we're going to color the base 10 blocks to show 139. Okay, remember that big block at the top is going to stand for 100. Then if I look right below that, we see the tens rod and then the ones right below it. Remember, if I took one of these little 1 blocks and I stacked them all together, I would have 10 of them to make the 10 rod. And then if I have this 10 rod, if I put 10 of those together, I would have 100. Ready? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So I have a 10 rods, I'd have 100. Or I could even have 100 of the ones blocks. So you're going to color in how many of each we need. And then the last part, they ask you to circle the value of the underlined number. Let's do the first one together. The number is 166. 166. The number underlined is in the tens place. So that 6 is not just a 6, it's really a what? 60. So let's circle the number 60, and you'll do the same for the rest of those. All right, if you have any questions, you can always let me know. You can message me or give me a call. Hopefully you guys are doing great remembering all of our number sense, and I will see you tomorrow.